CSTX News, based out of Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. I am your anchor, Army Cadet Josh Zagar, and this is CSTX News, here to bring you all the happenings of CSTX 2010. The first story is about a program implemented by a brigadier general and how it will help improve soldiers' boots on ground time. Specialist Marcel Bassett reports.
While at Fort McCoy, soldiers who are conducting their annual training also participated in an annual screening. The screening has been implemented to ensure soldier combat readiness for whenever they are set to deploy.
What the long goal of the Army Reserve training strategy is for these exercises we run at Fort McCoy is to shorten the time at the mobilization station, for example at Fort Dix right now. And what that means is they can get the units validated sooner and they can get them on the ground and out in theater either to Afghanistan or Iraq. If we don't have to have our soldiers going through a lengthy medical screening process, that shortens that time and gives them longer time, boots on the ground, and hopefully relieve units that are already there.
The soldiers' rigorous health screening process included a health assessment, receiving vaccinations, being tested for various conditions, having dental exams completed, and lastly, the soldiers having their hearing evaluated. All of this was possible with the help of a Wisconsin-bred company called Logistics Health Incorporated. LHI provided medical readiness support for the combat training exercise, while another company, on-site, along with Army soldiers, provided the dental support.
If it weren't for the men and women who serve today, truly we wouldn't have the freedoms that we enjoy, the liberties that we have. I've said it many times, I believe the men and women who serve are the backbone of this country. And they volunteer. They don't have to be doing this, but they're volunteering to give back their own personal time, in many cases their lives. I think the least we can do is make sure that they are medically ready and prepared. And so for us to be able to have that opportunity, it's very humbling and very rewarding for LHI and our employees.
The screening program will service approximately 3,000 soldiers during the exercise. This is Specialist Marcel D. reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Next story on CSTX News is how soldiers are getting ready to set up operations on a forward operating base. Specialist Bassett will tell you what these soldiers are doing to get ready for training.
Currently, the 77th Sustainment Brigade, based out of Fort Dix, New Jersey, is setting up the Deployable Rapid Assembly Shelters, or the DRAS system, to prepare for their annual training.
Soldiers are putting up a system called a DRASH system. The DRASH system is the newest version of the tonnage that's coming out, and this is actually going to be our TOC, where everything runs out of for the 77th Sustainment Brigade.
The Army is using DRASH for durability. Our shelters are known, they're tested, they're proven, they're trusted.
My regular most is a 25 uniform, signal support specialist. So some of this stuff I actually got a chance to do a little bit of 25 uniform stuff today, like connecting the generators. So that was pretty cool, actually.
These soldiers are mostly reserve soldiers and are currently participating in the combat support exercise at Fort McCoy, where they will brush up on soldiering skills and the respective military occupational skills. Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I am Specialist Marcel D. Bassett.
An engineering company is building new structures in the training area in order to improve life at the FOB. Army Sergeant Jamie Disrochers reports.
Construction is underway to improve the training sites here at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Soldiers of the 389th Engineer Company out of Middletown, Iowa, are building a SWA hut as part of the Combat Support Training Exercise 2010. The single-story structure will serve as the command post for future units that train here. Project Non-Commissioned Officer in Charge, Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Harriman, says the construction provides a valuable opportunity for soldiers to practice their trade.
It also gives our guys a time that, when they don't really do it for a living, to learn how to use their constructive skills so when we do deploy and we go other places, and keeps their skills honed.
Carpenter and Mason, Private Kimberly McKay, says she is proud of the work that she and the other soldiers are doing.
I love the idea of something staying out here that other people will get use out of, that I made with my own hands. Other people will come by and see it. I know I made it.
The 389th is slated to finish construction of the SWA hut in about 5 days before moving on to complete other projects on post. Reporting from Fort McCoy, I'm Army Sergeant Jamie DeRogers.
What's that gap look like?
Keeping your friends close and your enemies closer is a familiar phrase. But what do you do when your friends become your enemies? Sergeant First Class Benari Polton will tell you.
Sometimes helping the good guys win the fight means having to play the bad guy. That's the part a number of U.S. troops are playing to help prepare fellow soldiers for the real-world battlefield during the 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Soldiers from across the Army Reserve are taking part in this year's CSTX as the opposing force, or OP4.
What we bring for OP4 into this exercise is more real-world, hands-on, and visual to the soldiers that are training for convoys and mobbing.
The OP4 players provide the training with a heightened sense of realism, while also possibly gaining a new perspective of their own.
You can see both sides of the situation, and you can see how people react in certain situations.
As their colleagues hone their skills, these enemy role players help ensure that the soldiers trained will be able to meet any opposition with the right amount of force. From Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Sergeant First Class Benari Polton.
One job in the military has soldiers who use their hands to make people smile. Specialist Bassett will tell you why these people are smiling.
If someone thinks that all soldiers in the United States Army use M16s or M4s as their primary weapon, they would be wrong. A certain group of soldiers uses their hands as their main weapon. These soldiers are Army dentists.
With dentistry, I'm always concerned about if cooking something, I'm going to cut my finger off. If I'm, in some type of accident, I could lose my hand. So you're always thinking about some other thing you could use because this is our living, our hands.
I can use my hand skills.
Right in here, I think.
I can use my brain. Right? I can be also like a sculptor, painting, like an artist, and professional. I can be doctor. I can diagnose things, and that's exciting because there's so many things that my profession tile that I can use, and then I can give somebody that comes with a low self-esteem, crooked teeth, or missing teeth, or pain. I can help in all the different aspects.
I happen to meet so many dentists also, so I come out same thing when I'm deployed. You come across so many dentists minds, their civilian life also, and you learn from each other, talking to other people also along with some assistants, and those people seeing them, they are not dental assistant in civilian life, but how they can adapt also in the military and so easily.
These dentists are all currently participating in a medical health readiness screening program to ensure that Army Reserve soldiers are ready for combat. They are also from the same unit, the 7238th, based out of Fort Hamilton, New York. To be a dentist in the United States Army, you must be certified by a certified dentistry program in America and be able to meet all of the Army requirements for a soldier, including being both physically and mentally fit. This is Specialist Marcel D. Bassett reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Thank you. The last story on CSTX News is one where a thought has turned into reality. Specialist Bassett will fill you in.
Colonel Michael Getz had an idea 2 years ago on how to save the Army money and time. Today, the idea came to fruition and was unveiled at the Combat Support Training Exercise taking place at Fort McCoy. He drew this idea on a napkin, and 2 years later, two soldiers, Specialist Shauna Duell and Specialist Ian Diasto, both from the 872nd Maintenance Unit based out of Ogden, Utah, took the drawing and made it reality. It came to be a tent pole pusher and extractor. The way it works is, one side you hammer the tent pole into the ground, and then flip the mechanism over and hammer up to extract. Getz says that he hopes the soldiers submit the creation to the Army SMART program, and if the item is accepted, it would in turn give the soldiers unit a cash reward. Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I am Army Specialist Marcel D. Bassett.
And that's all for CSTX News. I'm Cadet Josh Sagar, signing out.
welcome to CSTX News. This is our second edition and we have an exciting newscast for you. I'm Specialist Christina Johnson.
And I'm Cadet Josh Sagar, and this is CSTX News.
First on CSTX News, annual training often takes soldiers out of their comfort zone. But for the 423rd Transportation Company, the critical skills they are learning can also keep them out of the kill zone. Sergeant First Class Benari Polton has the story.
Explosions rock an entry control point as American troops fight off the advancing enemy, while a nearby convoy snakes through winding roads, fending off their own attack. Just another day for the 423rd Transportation Company here at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, with a 2010 combat support training exercise. Not even the occasional tornado-like conditions could stop these Fort Carson, Colorado-based soldiers from joining other Army reservists to train up on a variety of important skills.
We are right now helping our battalion get certified for knowing how to control several different moving pieces, but we are also getting some soldier training on ECP and convoys that we actually do when we're overseas.
I feel really comfortable with the guys that I'm working with. I'm learning a lot because a lot of them have been overseas. So it's just, a confidence booster.
From the most experienced soldier to the newest recruit, the CSTX provided something for everyone.
It's a really good learning experience for the NCOs who need to practice for it, and for the Joes, so that way they learn everyone else's, jobs.
As they have shown here, whatever the job may be, the 423rd will get it done. Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Sergeant First Class Benari Polton.
The next story is on new technology that the Army is using in order to improve communication between units. Specialist Marcel Bassett reports on the benefits of using this technology.
Paul Revere wrote his course in April of 1775, warning America that the British were coming. Today we have CPOF, or the Command Post of the Future.
As an intelligence analyst, since we use maps like this, and it's pretty great that we can share it with higher and everybody can add in every section can add in their information and it can all go to one place. And plus these graphics are pretty amazing.
CPOF allows you to share them in folders so that anybody that's on the network whom you've given the appropriate permissions to can see that same information as you're seeing it. So what that does, it has a tremendous impact on the ability to get information out to people in real time.
Currently, soldiers are learning the CPOF system at Fort McCoy during the 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise. This is Specialist Marcel D. Bassett reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Soldiers participating in CSTX 2010 make the best of an unexpected opportunity. Sergeant Sam Conrad reports on soldiers and sailors working together at Fort McCoy to improve joint operations.
When a soldier is injured on the battlefield or in training, timing is critical. The time it takes to evacuate and provide the needed care can be the difference between life and death.
That there's a critical hour once a patient has a major trauma and they're in shock before, if you start treating shock and get shock reversed within about an hour, the chance of survival is great.
Often the care a soldier receives in this critical time is provided by joint operations, performed by different branches of the military services. Army Reserve units participating in CSTX 2010 at Fort McCoy took advantage of shared training space with the Navy to improve on these critical joint operations.
Joint operations are always very interesting. Number one, just learning the language that's different between Navy and Army is a huge task for both sides. But I think it gets down to more of the nitty-gritty than that, is actually working side by side with your counterparts to develop a working relationship so that we can go anywhere, anytime, and move into a setting and be completely comfortable. And the more integration that we do offline and in training, the better the integration is going to be when we're actually in the field doing this for real.
Training opportunities like this are very important to the soldiers and sailors on many different levels.
Oh, this has improved my skills tremendously. I don't get to see casualties on the outside. I don't get to work in an ER. I don't get to drive, a Humvee or a 5-ton or an ambulance. I'm aware that I'm going to have to save someone's life, period, right on the spot. So this makes me more alert, more aware, and I feel more comfortable going through training like this than just being sent out and saying, okay, here you go.
It's absolutely crucial because most of our missions are joint missions these days. Just the number of tasks and missions that medicine is involved in the military, we have to work together. We have to be on the same doctrine. We have to train the same, have the same language. So this exercise is great to be able to work with the Army.
Reporting from Fort McCoy, I'm Sergeant Sam Conrad. If you've ever spent time in the field, you know the importance of a clean uniform. Sergeant First Class Steve Tedeschi reports on a group of soldiers that rarely make headlines but play a very important role in maintaining soldier morale.
Soldiers are getting down and dirty while field training during the 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise here at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Servicing soldiers' laundry throughout the exercise is the Army Reserve 1008th Quartermaster Company from Granite City, Illinois.
And right now that is the LADS behind me, which stands for Laundry Advanced System. And we are conducting the laundry operations for this FOB.
Maybe 5 people total usually on laundry operations, and that's to support both FOB Freedom and FOB Liberty, which I believe is supposed to be about 800 to 900 people total. And we usually have within a 24-hour turnaround, people drop off and we give it back to them either that day or early the next morning.
Well, when you have everybody able to turn in all the time, a lot of times what happens is people hold their laundry until they've got very large loads and everybody comes in at once and we get overloaded. By splitting them in half and staggering it, we know that on a given day we're not going to have any more than the amount of laundry we can handle in a day. We're able to guarantee 24-hour turnaround because of that.
And how clean does the laundry get?
It comes out very clean. We don't work for Tide, but we can get all the germs and anything that's going to cause problems later on down the road. We take care of all that.
And how do soldiers of the 1008 Quartermaster Company feel about their laundry operations?
And it is very important. I didn't think it would be when I first joined the Army, and I was like, folding clothes? Why would we need to fold clothes? But I didn't really think out of it as a big aspect, as, you know, soldiers need clean clothes too.
Bath and laundry isn't the most exciting or glamorous job in the military, but at the 1008th we take a lot of pride in the morale that we provide for the other soldiers. And we take a lot of pride in the fact that we do it as well as anybody in the Army, and we'd like to think better.
Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Army Sergeant First Class Steve Tedeschi.
Army reservists train hard to be the best at what they can do, but one group of high-speed soldiers are using their knowledge and their deployment experience to help train the best to be the best. Sergeant First Class Polton reports.
It is often said that the United States has the best trained Army in the world. And at the 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, a handful of dedicated and experienced reservists intend to keep it that way.
What was your mission?
Serving as subject matter experts and observer controller trainers, or SMEs and OCTs, they ensure that the troops get the most intense, realistic, and useful training possible in a variety of important soldiering skills.
The observer controller trainers work with the OPFOR, and they design the lanes and the scenarios. The subject matter experts work as the eyes and ears of the command team to develop better training plans over the next year.
We train back in our units and such, but when they come here, to actually have somebody to observe them, to ensure that what they're doing is what they're supposed to be doing, is done properly to prepare them to go overseas, it's really important.
Using their own deployment experience and knowledge, the SMEs and OCTs push these soldiers to keep improving and to learn from their errors.
Just take it up and go.
It's not criticism. We're not trying to criticize these guys. We want them to get the training.
We make our mistakes here, so when we go out to theater, we don't make those same mistakes. Muscle memory. We try to get that muscle memory thing going. I'd rather make mistakes here than out in theater.
And most of these NCOs agree, the most rewarding part of the job is getting to do the job itself.
No, my most favorite thing out here is coordinating with the
elements that I need to coordinate with to get my injects done. So I could give the training units the most training they can get out of it.
Thanks to their hard work, the best trained Army in the world just keeps getting better. From Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Sergeant First Class Benari Polton.
It's hard to get 700 people to wake up before the rising sun. Unless you're a brigadier general, Specialist Bassett tells us more.
These soldiers are
up in the morning for the break of day. Up in the morning for the break of day.
and participating in the 78th Training Brigade Cantonment Run, led by the 78th Commander, Brigadier General Walter Trahanovich.
The cantonment run was to bring some unity, some esprit de corps to our area. The cantonment area supports those ones in the field. You see they're still motivated out there. And so what we wanted to do was make them feel like a team as a part of it, just like one of our FOBs, bring them together and do good Army PT.
And how did the soldiers feel about the cantonment run?
It was good. It was very motivating. We had to get up early in the morning. Motivation. I like it.
My goal is to build it up so I can have all 1,800 soldiers who are participating in the exercise running in one of these formations one day. But we've got to start small, so we started about 600-700 today. Good run.
Specialist Marcel Bassett reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
This was the second edition of CSTX News. I'm Cadet Josh Zaga.
I'm Specialist Christina Johnson. Thank you for watching.
Stay classy, Fort McCoy. Hello, and welcome to the final edition of CSTX News. I'm your anchor, Cadet Josh Zagar.
And filling in for Specialist Christina Johnson, I am Specialist Tim Coster. And stay tuned for all the exciting stories here on CSTX News.
The first story on CSTX News is about soldiers taking an extra step to be able to help their battle buddies downrange. Specialist Marcel Bassett reports.
At Fort McCoy, soldiers participating in the Combat Support Training Exercise 2010 also participated in a unique type of medical training.
Medical simulation training, it's something the Army came up with in 2006. It's a rapid field initiative, and the Army decided that simulation training was a way that they were going to help train soldiers in medical procedures. And the thing that makes us different from a regular CLS course, and that is the fact that we use simulation. We use our mannequins that breathe, and they have pulses, and they react to treatment and to medication. So it's really a great thing. It's the next best thing to a living person being there.
Basically, we went in, we're supposed to clear the room, make sure it's secure first, because a combat lifesaver is a non-medical soldier who's between a combat medic and your first aid battle buddy. So our first mission, of course, is to make sure that we're secure, our lives are secure, and then we help our battle buddies. It's not textbook at all. Everything is hands-on.
You actually get the experience of what it would be like if you go overseas. You know what you're going to be doing when you're put in that kind of a situation. You actually get a chance to get that experience.
Simulation makes a world of difference. It's the way we validate the training. We train them in the classroom, and they'll sit there and they'll train on things, and they get to do some practical exercise, putting on bandages and putting in airways and things, but that's just in a classroom setting. And then when they come to our trauma lane, which is the whole package, we'll have care under fire, we'll have artillery simulators going off, so they have radios, they have to call in actual 9 lines, they have to treat the casualties, they actually have to. There's no finger drilling. That is no long saying, well, I'm going to be doing this or that. If they're going to do something, they have to actually do it. So they put on bandages, they put in airways, they call on the radio, they do all the things they would really do in real life. And that's the way we validate that they've been trained. And so it's just an excellent way of teaching.
Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I am Specialist Marcel D. Bassett.
We're combat lifesavers, cool.
Being an Army reservist means learning to react quickly to situations. For some Army reservists taking part in the CSTX 2010, reacting quickly is part of their job. Sergeant First Class Benari Polton has the story.
When the bombs start bursting, who are you going to call? If you're on Forward Operating Base Liberty at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin for the 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise, you're going to call these troops, the FOB Liberty Quick Response Force.
We support the front gate, and then any conflicts we have around the FOB or on the FOB, we react to them and get there and secure the situation as fast as possible.
With ongoing simulations throughout the exercise, they're getting plenty of practice as they learn a new job. For many of these Army reservists, QRF is a new skill set, but an important one.
I think it's all been valuable, from the getting ready for exercises, standing by in case you get called when we pull security at the gates or do rounds. It's basically train how you fight.
We eat on the go, and we're just always on the ready to go.
No matter the situation, the QRF will be there when called, quickly and in full force. From Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Sergeant First Class Benari Polton.
Coming up next, there are enemies stalking and preying on our soldiers here at Fort McCoy. Sergeant Jamie DeRogers tells us who the enemy is and who combats them. Stay tuned.
Many soldiers train to engage the enemy on the battlefields of Afghanistan and Iraq. However, soldiers of the 790th Preventive Medicine Detachment from Rockville, Maryland, are working hard to fight an enemy that lives much closer to home: mosquitoes.
They all vector diseases in various parts of the country and worldwide, really. The Eastern equine encephalitis is one of the primary ones that we got to watch out for in this area.
They set up traps using dry ice, which lures in mosquitoes attracted to the carbon dioxide. They also apply larvicide and collect samples for species identification to protect troops during the combat support training exercise in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Our main mission is to ensure that the troops stay safe. We want to make sure that our fighting strength is good by helping prevent diseases.
Soldiers can protect themselves from insect bites by applying DEET to exposed flesh and treating their uniforms with permethrin, an insecticide that lasts up to 50 washes. Reporting from Fort McCoy, I'm Army Sergeant Jamie DeRogers.
This edition of CSTX News is brought to you by Hua Mints.
To bring the hua back in you. We've all heard safety is important. Sergeant First Class Polton tells us more.
This is what right looks like. And when it comes to safety at the 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, everyone needs to be a subject matter expert.
Pay attention to what you're doing. You know, you're the biggest part of the safety thing here. You know, you're going to protect yourself, so pay attention to what you're doing.
Following proper safety procedures is critical for mission success, and it's a team effort.
Safety is important in everything we do in this training, because if a soldier get hurt, he's not going to be prepared for battle.
The platoon sergeants and squad leaders, they must enforce it out as well as we do. We can only stress it while we are here. But once they get in country, the squad leaders, platoon sergeants, platoon leaders need to stress safety very much. The battle buddies can also, hey, check your battle buddy, make sure he got water, make sure he got all his equipment. You know, let's keep it safe around.
The reason why safety is important here, because like we said, we train to standards for soldiers going over to the box. If you don't be safe here, you're not going to be safe over there.
Maintaining safety is as important as maintaining your weapon or your vehicle. It's mission essential. From Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Sergeant First Class Benari Polton, leaving you with this very important message.
Remember, safety is our #1 goal, so smile, be safe, and enjoy your day.
Construction is underway at Fort McCoy. Specialist Bassett tells us what is being built and who is building it.
The 471st Maintenance Unit based out of Fort Buchanan, Puerto Rico, along with the 389th Engineering Company based out of Middletown, Iowa, has taken on the task of building 3 new ranges at Fort McCoy during the Combat Support Training Exercise. The units are building the ranges as part of their annual training. The 389th is working on the horizontal structuring, which encompasses leveling the land, while the 471st is taking care of the vertical structuring, which encompasses building the structures. The 471st is known for their hard work and was the first runner-up in the Reserve Medium Unit Size category for this year's AMY, or the Army Award for Maintenance Excellence, which, as the title states, recognizes units for exceptional achievements in maintenance. How do they keep it up, one may wonder?
These guys, they have done this for quite a while. Back home, they always keep on outreach projects, so we keep them working through the whole year. So they have worked together for quite a few years, so they know each other's move. We don't like to start a project which we cannot finish. If you can hear the sound in the back, you can hear all the equipment that is moving, so that means everyone in this project is doing something.
Both units are working to construct 3 ranges, a ski range, a pistol range, and a rifle range, and also a sidewalk between them all. I am Army Specialist Marcel D. Bassett reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Convoy traveling is the time when troops are the most vulnerable in theater. Sergeant First Class Steve Tedeschi tells us why training in convoy procedures is so important.
Training soldiers for convoy operations is a vital part for preparing them to deploy in combat environments. During this 2010 Combat Support Training Exercise here at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, Army Reserve soldiers learned the importance of being alert while riding in a convoy.
Convoy training is very important to train here so that when we go overseas we're ready for anything, because we have to transfer from one point to another, just maybe on different kind of missions, on different kind of delivering cargo as for transportation, and along the way you have to know what you're going to find and what possibilities of vehicle breaking down, vehicle getting hit. You just got to know all the different kind of scenarios on different situations, IED, ambushes, and then so that when we get over there, it's quick. It's no thinking involved. It's right on the spot.
Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I'm Army Sergeant First Class Steve Tedeschi.
Soldiers took time out from training to expand their horizons. Specialist Bassett has the scoop.
PFC Princess Raven Wright is singing at a prayer breakfast that was held during the Combat Support Training Exercise at Fort McCoy, which was one of the many events soldiers participated in, which allowed them to open their eyes to fairly new experiences this week. The events included introductions to religions or religious rites and traditions that the soldiers might not have been familiar with. The experiences included a visit to a mosque to learn about the Islamic tradition, a visit to a Cistercian abbey to learn about the Catholic tradition, followed by a prayer breakfast with a Cistercian monk as the guest of honor. The events were all coordinated by the chaplains and the unit ministry team participating in the CXTX 2010 exercise. The significance of being immersed in a different culture or set of beliefs could be best explained by Chaplain Darius Rice.
It's vital to our military service members to really understand other cultures and other religions. That way, that can somehow inform, the mission may be impacted because you're dealing with a certain group. So you need to be able to understand, why this group thinks this way or why they perform or behave a certain way. So by understanding those things, it helps us to get a better grasp of who people are and to be able to identify with where they're at.
The chaplains are already in the works for planning events for next year's CXTX exercise. Reporting from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, I am Army Specialist Marcel D. Bassett.
Thanks for watching the final edition of CSTX News. I'm your anchor cadet Josh Zago.
And I'm Specialist Tim Coster. Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy, Fort McCoy.
But mostly, thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy.
Thank you.
Stay classy.
You can't work with this man-child.
Stay classy.